The story begins on the snowy, empty plains of the 8th floor. A large group of hunters stands together. They are from the Rank 6 Blue Zone Guild, and their leader is Kyojo Kazuki. He starts giving them a stern speech. He warns them that if they fail here, they will never reach the 9th floor. You can see the tension in their faces. They are scared of messing up. Suddenly, another guild drops. It is the Rank 1 Blue Eyes Guild, and the leader is Narukami Subaru. While Kazuki was talking about being careful, Subaru shows up late and apologizes for his tardiness. However, you might be wondering why 2 guilds are in the same place. This is actually a joint raid. Then Subaru suddenly brings out something and hands it to Kazuki. It is a legendary item called Archangel's Blessing. This thing is incredibly rare. It instantly recovers fatigue. Subaru is giving this item because he was planning to raid and win no matter what. However, if he failed and did not come back, they could take this. He also invites Kazuki back to the Blue Eyes to return the gift if they were able to succeed. Before anything more could have happened, the ground started shaking and the boss appeared. It is the poison dragon Hydra. It towers over them, looking disgusting and scary at the same time. Subaru instantly started powering up, ready to defeat the monster today, and the boss was also ready to launch its massive breath attack. Everyone fell back. As the Hydra launched its attack, Subaru cut through the attack, saving everyone. They were amazed, as always, because he is amazing. I mean, I do not even know if he is the main character. He is just amazing. Now the whole guild was ready to defeat the 8th floor's boss. The last guild also arrived at that time, and everyone started fighting the Hydra. It was truly a sad scene to watch. Imagine you are just a boss on a floor, and suddenly a group of people with superpowers, I mean 100 of them, come to fight you from every side. Okay guys, we are just gonna go right through it. Mid-fight, the Hydra attacks a girl named Chino. She was able to block the attack, however, she was suddenly stabbed in her heart from behind by Kazuki. Defeated, as she fell on the ground, Kazuki laughs, telling them that these guys were just so full of themselves. Subaru, however, got distracted after witnessing all of this, and did not even pay attention to what was behind him. Yes, the Hydra. Okay, so before anything, the author decided we should get a quick lore drop. We learn that players are chosen by the tower and come from all sorts of dimensions, like Earth, Miram, and Runeterra to climb it. It's a mix of a trial and a blessing, but honestly, based on the last chapter, it looks more like a nightmare. Picking up right where we left off, the Hydra is dead, but things are looking grim for Subaru. His status window is flashing red alerts, he is poisoned, natural regeneration is off, and his fatigue is critical. If his fatigue hits 100, he dies. Subaru realizes what's happening and demands answers from Kyojo Kazuki. Kazuki drops the mask completely. He admits he has been planning this betrayal for 10 years. Why? Because he was jealous. He felt suffocated by Subaru's greatness and everything Subaru gave him. He claims he chose the world over their friendship. Kazuki twists the knife, telling Subaru that his guild, Blue Eyes, will be wiped out along with him, but history will remember Subaru as a hero. It's the ultimate gaslighting move. Subaru, despite being at death's door, isn't going out like a chump. He reveals he still has charges left on a legendary item called Aeolus. This thing creates a gale that blows targets 10 kilometers away. Instead of using it on the enemies, Subaru uses it on his 4 surviving guildmates. He blasts them to safety, screaming at them to go, ensuring that the Blue Eyes lineage survives. Now alone, Subaru decides to hold the line. He activates his Thunderlord ability, even though his fatigue is skyrocketing. It jumps to 95, then 96. He vows that no one is getting past him without his permission. It is a brutal, lonely fight. He was so injured that he couldn't even fight anymore. One was able to stab him, however, he used his thunder power to shock them all. His fatigue hits 97, then 98. Finally, he hits his limit. His vision starts to fade, and the system confirms, you will die. Even in his final moments, he thinks about how impossible it is that he, the winner, is the one dying. Kazuki stands over him, looking almost disappointed that he didn't get to watch Subaru suffer more. However, before dying, Subaru throws his spear at Kazuki, but couldn't watch the outcome. Suddenly, we are in a black void because he died. However, Subaru regains consciousness because he is the main character. If he is going to die, then who's going to continue the show? Kazuki. He opens his eyes and sees a status window, but it's wrong. The name is Hosoi Subaru, level 1 and fatigue 61. He is confused and thankful. He thinks the status window is kind of pathetic. Before knowing that it's his status window, congratulations. But then he realizes the date and gains the memory of his current body. We find out that Narukami Subaru died 20 years ago. He is reincarnated 2 decades into the future. And because of this shocking news, he falls from the dustbin and finds a player kit, basically a smartphone for hunters, and searches for Blue Eyes. What he finds makes his blood boil. The Blue Zone Guild, Kazuki's guild, claims to be the successor to Blue Eyes. The internet praises Kazuki for continuing Subaru's legacy. Kazuki has spun a narrative that they were best friends until the end, calling himself Subaru's shadow. Subaru realizes Kazuki didn't just kill him, he stole his reputation and history. Now we are getting a quick background story. They weren't enemies from the beginning, of course, they were actually good friends. However, then one day, Kazuki decided to leave Blue Eyes. Why? Because he just wanted a break and promised that he would always be Subaru's shadow. Now back to the present. While Subaru was wandering around, he bumps into a post on the player kit which is about the Memorial Hall of Narukami Subaru. So, he rushes to the Narukami Subaru Memorial Hall. It is a massive, impressive building bustling with visitors paying their respects. Inside, he sees a hologram of Kazuki on a stage, giving a heartfelt speech. Kazuki is telling the crowd that Subaru was a role model and a hero. He claims he built this hall to remember him forever. Subaru watches from the back, absolutely furious. He calls it bullshit. Kazuki is spouting noble words while standing on the grave of the friend he murdered. Subaru's eyes glow with rage. He decides that if Kazuki wants to play the remembering game, he'll play along. He vows to rewrite those memories from scratch. Suddenly, he was bumped into by a child. When he looked properly, he saw the child was wearing his mask, kinda his mask. The child's parents, and everyone else, were all wearing it too. Everyone was actually here to see Subaru's grave. So, our Subaru decided to check it out too. But then he saw something amazing. He quickly rushed forward and found a flower among flowers. It was emitting some kind of energy. After witnessing it, we get a huge reveal. One of Subaru's old teammates, Shigure Asagiri, is alive. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Shigure Asagiri on top of a building. Another girl who was also in his team was there. She meets up with Shigure Asagiri. They have been living like fugitives for 20 years, hiding from Kyojo's Blue Zone Guild. This is the guy who always brings chrysanthemums for Subaru's memorial service, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he's still out there. But the girl is cynical, saying it's been 20 years and Subaru wouldn't just sit back and watch them get hunted if he were alive. Shigure Asagiri, however, still has hope. It is heartbreaking to see them living in the shadows while the traitor lives like a king. Back to our boy Subaru in Hasua's body. I mean, we are just gonna call him Subaru, okay? Okay? And, you can't change it, boys. So, our boy actually ran with that fallen flower and came back to his messy room, trying to find information on his old guild. When he finds nothing, he actually takes it as good news. He figures that if Kyojo hasn't killed them publicly, they must be in hiding. He realizes he is currently too weak to contact them without putting them in danger. He needs to get his strength back first. Luckily, he finds out there is a tutorial to gain player qualifications starting in 2 days. Perfect timing. Fast forward 2 days to the exam site. The proctor, Huger, is totally bored. The current generation of kids is disappointing him. One kid literally quits because he's too scared to fight 3 goblins. Huger complains that the quality of youth has dropped, mentioning that the only promising participant so far was Isaac, son of Reinhardt, who cleared up to level 20. Next up is Subaru. Now, we're talking. Our boy is back in business. Huger sighs, thinking Hosoi Subaru is just another loser who will fail. He releases 2 goblins to start, ZIP. In a blink of an eye, the goblins are dead. Subaru realizes something amazing. Hosoi's body isn't weak. It actually has great stats. I mean, we're going to ignore the fact that he spent 2 days working out. But that doesn't count because we didn't see that, yeah? Subaru doesn't just pass, he speedruns the whole thing. System, do you want to take the next step? Subaru, obviously, time is money. Huger was shocked. No, let me actually rephrase it. He was bewildered, watching in disbelief as Subaru tears through the levels. He notices Subaru isn't just swinging a sword, he's thinking 3 moves ahead. The proctor is so shook, he literally thinks, unless he's the reincarnation of Narukami Subaru, this should be impossible. Buddy, you have no idea how right you are. Subaru clears step 49. The system asks if he wants to challenge the final boss. Without hesitation, Subaru grins and says, "Bring it on." Huger loses it, screaming at him to stop, yelling that he isn't the real Narukami Subaru and he's going to die. But we know better. Subaru is about to show this tutorial who the real boss is. This thing is massive and enraged because Subaru sacrificed so many goblins to get here. The proctor, Huger, is losing his mind, screaming that fighting this boss with Subaru's low stats is basically suicide. And what does Subaru do? He says, "I refuse," and throws away his sword. Huger literally thinks Subaru has snapped. But then, as the goblin attacks, Subaru throws a sharp knife, or I don't know what it is, however he throws it, that is for sure. He stares down the Goblin King and makes a bet, will you take me down first, or will I turn you into a honeycomb? So yeah, then he started throwing sharp stuff at the goblin boss, piercing his eyes and body. Then, we get a quick flashback to someone named Reina, who taught Subaru a lesson. Anything can be a throwing dagger, as long as you know its center of gravity. Subaru realizes the battlefield is covered in goblin corpses and poison needles that haven't despawned yet. He turns the entire arena into his weapon arsenal, using dagger arts, piercing the Goblin King with pinpoint accuracy. Huger watches in awe. Oh bro, can someone shut this old man up? I mean, just watch, NPC, you don't get to say anything. The Goblin King goes down, and Subaru clears the tutorial for the first time. Now for the loot. The tutorial shop opens up, and Subaru has 2,425 achievement points to burn. He scrolls past the basic potions and spots 2 rare weapons. Nameless Demon Sword, 1000p, huge damage, but it drains your health and mental power. Holy Sword Miranda, 400p, reduces fatigue and keeps you safe. A normal player would pick the Holy Sword for safety. But Subaru spots a weird F-rank skill at the bottom called State of Avarice. Effect, it suppresses the side effects of skills and items used by the user. Subaru's brain is massive. He realizes this skill can cancel out the health drain of the demon sword and the debuffs from his own thunder ability. He buys both the demon sword and State of Avarice, creating a broken combo instantly. Hyuga is baffled. He asks why a newbie would buy such a risky setup. Subaru plays dumb, pretending he just picked them randomly. Subaru, however, wasn't even using honorifics, so this old man gave him a nice yell. Then, after remembering carefully, Subaru realized that he knew this old man. Previously, this old man was a fan of his, coming to ask for an autograph. But actually, I wonder how someone like this could become this in 20 years. Makes me question a lot of things. Hyuga kept lecturing Subaru about how kids these days have no manners. Subaru didn't even say anything and proceeded to move to the next floor. Hyuga tries to scout Subaru for the Chivalry Guild. However, Subaru immediately refuses with a flat, "I do not," and walks away to the second floor. Subaru arrives at the starting city, a place bustling with items from different dimensions like Murum silk and Runeterra fish. He takes a deep breath. He's back. He has his stats, his broken combo, and his memories. He vows to maneuver better this time, not just for himself, but for the comrades waiting for him and for the revenge they deserve. We start at the reception desk of a training center. Subaru asks for a room to test his new skills, and the receptionist immediately tries to steer him toward room 1, the one with straw dummies, basically saying, "You look like a total noob, stick to the baby stuff." Subaru, being the absolute Chad he is, ignores that and asks for room 5. The receptionist warns him that he's just going to waste his money because the difficulty is too high, but Subaru books 30 minutes anyway. He knows they are looking down on him because of his cheap gear, but he doesn't care. It's time to get to work. Inside the room, Subaru activates his new toy, the Nameless Demon Sword. Effect: it boosts all his stats but starts draining his stamina and mental strength immediately. To counter this, he activates State of Avarice Lev 1-1. Effect: it tries to resist the backlash and restore his stamina. But there is a problem. Level 1 isn't strong enough. The system warns him that it fails to resist the sword completely, and his fatigue starts climbing. Subaru realizes he needs more power. In a move that hurts my wallet just reading it, he dumps 10,000 credits to instantly upgrade the skill. State of Avarice hits level 2, rank E, and don't even try to ask me how he got 10,000 credits. I think it was a misspelling. Now, the resistance is successful. The sword consumes his stamina to boost his stats, and the skill keeps him from dying. It's the perfect loop. Cut to silence. The receptionist goes and knocks on the door, calling out, "He, dreaming boy, are you still in there?" When he opens the door, he is surprised to see the destruction everywhere. Later that night, Subaru wakes up in his rented room. His body is stiff as a board because, even with the skill, the physical strain of wielding a demon sword is insane. But the results speak for themselves. He checks his status window. Strength, 17, Agility, 17, Concentration, 18, level 10. He realizes that without the synergy between the sword and the skill, he wouldn't even be able to hold the weapon properly. Then, reality hits. He checks his wallet. Credits on hand, 50. He spent everything on that upgrade. He sighs, realizing that being poor is a new struggle for the former Thunderlord. Subaru sees a guy live streaming to earn money from a window, which gives him an idea. But before he can think about it, a guy approaches him. Suddenly, Subaru's body starts shaking. He feels instinctual discomfort and fear. It turns out the original owner of this body, Hosoi, was terrified of Isaac. This guy was Hosoi's bully. So, yeah, this guy used to bully Hosoi every day. Back then, of course. Isaac immediately starts trash-talking after sitting next to him. He calls Subaru a loser and is shocked he didn't die to a goblin. Isaac then starts bragging. He proudly announces he cleared up to step 20 and even learned a B-rank skill, claiming it's the highest tier you can get from the tutorial. Side note, if only he knew Subaru cleared step 49 and killed the Goblin King. This is so embarrassing for Isaac. Isaac decides to treat Subaru like a servant again. He demands Subaru go buy him a coffee and some snacks. Subaru just stares at him. Isaac gets annoyed, asking if he's possessed because he's glaring instead of obeying. Subaru drops the coldest line, "I don't have the credits. Buy your own coffee." Isaac is furious and grabs him. Subaru thinks to himself that he doesn't have time to get revenge for the old Hosoi, but he won't let this guy stand in his way. He looks Isaac dead in the eye and gives him a final warning. Letting me go would be wiser for your own sake. Honestly, I want him to beat the crap out of this guy, actually. Isaac is trying to intimidate Subaru. He claims he's just messing with him like old times, but then immediately switches to threats, saying he can make Subaru disappear without anyone knowing. Why is he so confident? He hits us with the classic spoiled brat line, "You know who my father is, don't you?" Subaru mentally brushes him off, disgusted by Isaac calling him my friend. Subaru ignores the noise and focuses on getting stronger. We get a breakdown of the 2 ways to level up in this world. Trials, these happen in a safe virtual space. If you die, you just lose credits and progress. It's safe, but slow. Hunting, this happens in real space. It's far faster, but if you die there, you actually die. Subaru's logic, dangerous means fast, safe means slow. He chooses the danger route immediately because he has 0 time to waste. Later, Subaru, finally getting tired of the grinding, pulls out his phone to watch some entertainment videos. We see what the rest of the world is watching. There is a massive streamer named Narukami Subaru, a shameless copycat with over 80,000 viewers. This guy is terrible. He's on his 8th failed attempt at a trial, but people are donating 20,000 credits just to mock him. Subaru sees this and realizes the irony. The fake is raking in cash playing the fool, while the real hero is broke and risking his life. He checks his wallet, 500 credits. Painful. He realizes he needs to start streaming to fund his revenge tour. Dog, they didn't have to bring a reality into this. Subaru heads into a dungeon called the Lurking Orcs' Nest to test his gear. The boss, an orc general, appears, but Subaru isn't worried. He activates his combo, Nameless Demon Sword and Wedge of Greed level 2. It works perfectly. He shreds the boss, calling it Small Fry, and loots the gear. Later, after putting out some feelers, he decides to go live. Of course, we are getting some money, boys. Meanwhile, at Suit Entertainment, a group of scouts is stressing out. Their streamers are failing, and the market is flooded with Narukami Subaru copycats. We meet Ku, a cynical former climber who gave up on the tower because she lost her motivation, which was specifically to meet the real Narukami Subaru. She is bored out of her mind until she spots something on a monitor. She sees a stream with 0 viewers on 4-2. The streamer is wearing that mask. Do I have to tell which mask? Even though she thinks it's likely another fake, she can't help but get her hopes up after seeing that mask. Subaru starts his stream. A user named Love Money, that's our Ku, joins and asks if he's okay, noting it's his first time and he might get lost. While Subaru is looking at the camera to answer questions, a one-eyed bat attacks him, and Subaru kills it instantly without breaking his stride. He coolly asks the chat, "Is there a problem?" The primary test for the second floor begins. The goal is simple: clear the beginner's dungeon and escape. Subaru is officially live, but his viewer count is humble. We are talking about 3 viewers. It's not that bad, bro, not that bad. The chat, led by a user named Love Money, who we know as Ku, tries to give him advice. She tells him to wait for a party because solo players usually quit fast. Subaru, with zero hesitation, shuts that down. I prefer running things solo. The chat immediately writes him off, spamming, "It's over for him, and this is why rookies stay rookies." They think he's just an arrogant kid using the legendary Narukami Subaru name for clout. Subaru starts moving, and he is moving. He wants to go as hard as he can until he drops. He slaughters a mud merman and gains 2 achievement points. The problem? He did it so fast the chat didn't even see it happen. They are confused, asking, "Did anyone see that? And maybe I saw it, or maybe I didn't." He proceeds to wipe out 2 one-eyed bats and 2 more mud mermen instantly. Subaru then tries to explain his pro strats to the viewers. He tells them if you focus on the sound, you can know exactly how many enemies are coming and from where. The chat is not impressed. They think he's either baiting them or just showing off. One user, Poison Man, claims I could probably do that too, which prompts another user to roast him, asking what his level is. Subaru keeps walking in a perfectly straight line. The chat warns him that he's going to get wrecked if he doesn't check his corners. Suddenly, he bumps into a huge number of bats at the same time a user named My Deserted Stream registers a mission, 100 credits if you clear them all. The chat laughs, thinking it's a troll offer because the amount is so low, but Subaru, who is desperate for cash, sincerely thanks them. We cut back to the Suit and Entertainment office. Ku, the scout with the Love Money username, is staring at her screen, completely silent. Her coworker, Sigan, thinks she's just mad about losing a bet, but Ku notices something terrifying. She realizes Subaru isn't just swinging his sword wildly, he is redirecting his sword mid-swing, but his breathing and gaze remain perfectly steady. To a normal person, it looks like one smooth motion, but she realizes he is reading the opponent's flow and calculating moves in advance. Bro, I feel like I'm reading rocket science. Subaru, oblivious to how cool he looks, gives another lecture to the chat. He explains that you shouldn't target one-eyed bats individually. Since they thrust their heads forward to attack, you just wait for them to create openings. The chat hates this advice. One viewer says, "It's like saying, if you move your feet, you can walk." Here is the funny part. Subaru completes the mission for the 100 credits, but he just stands there. He doesn't know how to accept the reward. Love Money has to walk him through tapping the accept button. The chat agrees that while he might have talent, he is a total noob when it comes to streaming. Back in the office, Ku is having a meltdown. She learns he is from Earth, and his name is actually Narukami Subaru. She starts screaming about fate and the possession genre, thinking he might be a reincarnation from a web novel. She is technically right, but she sounds crazy. All I can see is a crazy girl in love. She was even thinking of scouting him, but the man next to her stopped her. But she still didn't lose her faith in him. She is just gonna watch and show that our Subaru is onto something. Subaru reaches the end of the dungeon. Standing there is a massive boss, Wolf Warrior Greg. The chat panics. This guy is a legend for gatekeeping players. The goal isn't to kill him, it's to earn his acknowledgement to pass through the door. He is there to test strength, not to be hunted. But then, a notification pops up. A viewer registers a mission. 3,000 credits if you defeat the Wolf Warrior. The chat laughs again, calling it a devil mission because nobody defeats the gatekeeper, and the donor probably has no intention of paying. Subaru stares at the Wolf Warrior. He needs money, he needs to pass, and he definitely doesn't care about acknowledgement. He is absolutely going to try and kill the unkillable gatekeeper for 3,000 credits, isn't he? Wolf Warrior Greg. At first, he makes fun of Subaru because he is alone. But Subaru fights back that the Wolf Warrior is also alone, so he doesn't get to talk. Wolf Warrior Greg then sniffs Subaru literally and tells him he has the scent of a great warrior. It's not the smell of rotting goblin corpses, thankfully it's his true essence. Greg is so impressed he actually passes Subaru. He tells him, the test is over, proceed. Most people would say thanks, and walk through the door. Subaru? He looked at the boss and says, too bad, but my mark is you, not the door behind you. Greg is confused, but Subaru bluntly admits, I was ordered to kill you. Imagine telling a legendary gatekeeper you're going to kill him because a random internet user named Safe Asset dared you to. We cut briefly to Suiton Entertainment, where the chief is yelling at his staff for watching a stream with only 30 viewers. Little do they know, they are witnessing history. Ku actually wanted to recruit Subaru, however. The chief said no after hearing the views. But then, Ku started telling him the live views, 30 to 40, 45, to convince him. However, he was just getting mad more and more. Back in the dungeon, Subaru activates his signature combo, Nameless Demon Sword plus Wedge, of Avarice Lev 2. He tells himself to stay calm and do it like he always has. Greg attacks, but Subaru is unimpressed. He analyzes the boss's moves and realizes they follow a single pattern. He calls it too easy and dodges effortlessly. Subaru defeats the undefeated Wolf Warrior. Rewards, level up 2x, stats boosted across the board, and 500 achievement points. The chat absolutely loses it. Did he actually beat him? Legendary stream? And most importantly, Safe Asset pays up the 3,000 credits. Subaru is rich. The door opens and the system presents the next stage, the trials. Usually, a player gets 2 or 3 choices based on their talent. Subaru gets 13 choices. Trial of Ice, Trial of Earth, Trial of Flame. The list goes on. The chat is stunned. They mention the highest record ever known is 16, so getting 13 is god-tier potential. Subaru sees the Trial of Thunder. Obviously, there is only one choice. He picks Thunder without hesitation. Back at the office, the stream hits 60 viewers and the scouts are freaking out, even the chief. They know that defeating the Wolf Warrior is unprecedented, but the chief is still a little hesitant. He thinks the risk of signing a rookie is too high. Ku has seen enough. She puts her hand on her coworker like he's her buddy and proposes a crazy bet. If Subaru fails to get the Thunder attribute, she and her coworker Seong-Hyun accept the 5-year salary freeze. Seong-Hyun is terrified because he didn't agree to this. If Subaru succeeds, the chief signs him immediately, no questions asked. The chief takes the bet, reminding them that the only player to ever acquire Thunder was the legendary Narukami Subaru. The Trial of Thunder begins, but something is wrong immediately. Subaru spawns in, and a massive monster, the Giant Fragment, is already there. The chat is confused because this boss is supposed to appear in the Giant Race episode much later in the trial. Subaru realizes what happened. Killing Greg, the gatekeeper, broke the sequence. Because he destroyed the test proctor, the system skipped stages 1, 2, and 3 and threw him straight into stage 4. A random NPC soldier is screaming at Subaru to run, asking if he wants to die. Subaru just sighs. Compared to Greg, this giant is way below his level. Subaru activates his trusty Nameless Demon Sword plus Wedge of Avarice combo. He looks at the giant, tells it to shut up and stay quiet forever, and one hit. Boss, dead. The rewards for skipping 3 stages are absolutely insane. 3x level up, a huge boost to strength, extra vitality, and 4,000 points in one go. Later, in another rented room, the chat started asking him to show the real treasure, the loot, and he also decided to check because he was curious. He got 2 rare items. Giant's Heart Accessory, increases vitality and regeneration. The chat calls this a lifetime item because accessories are super rare. Thunderclap Armor, defense plus 5, plus a daily active skill and status ailment immunity. This is ridiculously OP for a low-level player. The viewers lose their minds. Love Narukami Subaru, 5,000 credits. I am not naming all of them, just look at this. Everyone is pooling money for one specific mission, get the Hunter. Subaru is genuinely touched by how many people still love the legacy of Narukami Subaru. Suddenly, the same NPC brings another man into his room. And it's Peleus, the captain of the knights. Peleus is your standard noble, self-sacrificing knight. Outside, he thanks Subaru for his help and asks him to save the village from the giant chieftain. Subaru, feeling bad, actually decides to help them. The chat, having played this game before, immediately starts spamming, "Don't die, Peleus," and crying emojis. They know exactly where this trope is going. Stage 5 survival begins. Later, after some walking, they finally find the giant chieftain. Peleus, being the brave hero, offers to draw its attention so Subaru can attack from behind. But as Subaru looks closer at the boss, his instincts scream at him. That thing, it's not human. I mean, obviously it's a giant, but he means it's wrong. Suddenly, a lot of giants appeared from beneath the ground, and yes, it was a horde of them, not just the chief. This isn't a normal quest anymore. Something horrifying has entered the chat. Giants are rampaging, and Captain Peleus is terrified. Subaru reveals a crucial piece of info here. In the original timeline, Peleus was supposed to die here. But Subaru? He's not about to let that happen. He decides that with his current strength, he can save everyone. He dives into the mob of giants, slicing them apart. The chat goes wild, noting that aerial combat used to be Narukami Subaru's specialty, and our boy is living up to the legend, zooming through the air. As we know, he is using his two skills, the Demon Sword skill and the skill that cancels out and restores his stamina and mental power. It's a perfect loop, but he knows he can't keep it up forever. He needs to find the boss now before he burns out. He spots the boss and doesn't waste a second. He activates the skill from his new armor, Thunderclap. Lightning roars across the battlefield, and Subaru crashes down on the boss with everything he has. The result? Defeated Giant Seed. Subaru clears the objective in a record time. He gets his level increased 2 times, and a huge stat boost to vitality and agility. Here is the funny part, the chat is confused. They are spamming, "No way, how the hell do you kill that?" and "When was there ever a kill window?" Subaru realizes his mistake immediately. This is a survival stage. The objective was just to survive the timer. Because the timer hasn't run out, the mobs aren't disappearing. Subaru thinks to himself, to think the very mechanic I exploited last time would bite me in the ass now. He's running on fumes and the horde is endless. But then he suddenly gets a shocking thunderclap from the clouds because the weather was bad. I don't know if this is even related to the story or not. Subaru makes a bold call. He turns to Peleus and the knights and screams at them to flee. Peleus tries to be the noble hero, stuttering that he can't abandon an outsider. Subaru cuts the nice guy act. "Don't make me say it again. I can't move freely if you're here." Peleus finally agrees to retreat and gather reinforcements, leaving Subaru alone. The chat realizes what Subaru is doing. The score for this stage is based on the number of surviving soldiers. By sending them away, Subaru is securing the perfect score if he survives. But I'm sure he's going to survive. I mean, he is used to this life and to being alone. We cut away from the dungeon to a quiet cabin in the woods. Riena, we saw earlier with Shigure Asagiri, is chilling on the porch, watching Subaru's stream. Shigure Asagiri walks out, talks about the weather, and drops a massive plot point. The time to end this is approaching. A year at most. They are planning their final move against the traitor Kazuki Kyojo. He catches Riena watching the stream titled Narukami Subaru and gets annoyed. He thinks it's just another copycat disrespecting the name. She hits him with a harsh reality check. If Subaru had actually survived, Kazuki Kyojo would have been erased from his tower long ago. Riena pretends to be merely killing time and watching the live stream, but as they were talking, they looked at the screen with a knowing look. She knows he feels it too. The fighting style is too similar to ignore. Back in the dungeon, Subaru decides it's time to stop holding back. He channels lightning into the nameless demon sword. He grins, thinking, time to raise a little hell, like in the old days. He starts tearing through the giants, but there is a problem. The demon sword drains stamina to boost stats, and Subaru misjudged the dosage. He went too hard, too fast, and now he is running on empty. He falls to his knees, panting, surrounded by fallen monsters. Then we see Peleus back. The knight Subaru told to run away came back. He dives in, screaming, "Savior." Subaru is shocked. "Idiot, you really came," he thinks, and passes out. We jump to the Suiton Entertainment office, and Ku is currently having a crisis. She is sitting on the sofa with her head in her hands. Why? Because she sent Subaru that donation message earlier, and she thinks she sounded too cold. She is spiraling. What if he thinks it was just a business message? I should have used more emojis. The chief asks if she's crushing on him. Ku tries to deny it, but then screams, "I'm a passionate fan before I'm a manager." The chief gets serious for a second. He watched the stream and saw the lightning. He confirms that this isn't just a generic skill. It is the lightning that only Subaru Narukami and his kind possess. They realize they just won the bet of the century. They saved their salaries and found a diamond in the rough. But the funniest moment yet. The chief points at the screen. It looks like he read the email. Kao looks up. Status? Read? Reply? None. Subaru left her on read. Ku goes catatonic. Her soul literally leaves her body, and she dies standing up in the middle of the office. Subaru is out there fighting for his life, and his biggest fan just died from social anxiety. I love this woman. Somewhere else, a famous streamer named Hokuai, known for his sharp combat analysis, is breaking down Subaru's recent fight. Hokuai is absolutely losing his mind over Subaru's technique. He points out that Subaru controlled the flow of energy perfectly, infusing exactly the amount needed into the blade without wasting a single drop. The chat is split. Half of them think Hokuai is overhyping a rookie, and the other half realizes they are watching a god at work. Then, Hokuai drops the hottest take of the year. If we're talking about pure control, he might be even better than Narukami Subaru in his prime. The irony. He is comparing Subaru to himself, and saying the new version is better. Back in the tower, Subaru finally wakes up in the bed. The system asks Subaru if he wants to suspend the trial. Rule check. To pause a trial, you must clear the previous stage and have 0 fatigue. Subaru qualifies, so he decides to log off. He abruptly ends the stream, telling his viewers he's taking tomorrow off. The viewers are baffled. It's just a sleeping stream lol and salary thief fill the chat. Then he gets teleported to the stage waiting room. Subaru checks his messages and sees a DM from Suiton Entertainment. Subaru's reaction? Is this a spam bot? But he returns to the rented place and checks, then finds out Suiton is a massive company, but he's skeptical. Then he reads the article about Hokuai's analysis. He sees the line about being better than Narukami Subaru in his prime, and yes, Subaru is pleased. On the other hand, Isaac is pissed because of how much fame Subaru was getting. He was furious as he entered the inn where Subaru was staying, and when he saw Subaru at the table, he immediately crashes into his table, spilling his coffee on him. And then this guy demands Subaru pay him back for the coffee. When Subaru ignores it and tries to walk away, Isaac grabs him, asking if he has a death wish. Subaru sighs. He doesn't have time for this. In a split second, Subaru twists Isaac's arm or maybe just overpowers him. It happens so fast Isaac can't process it. Isaac is shocked, thinking, since when was he this strong? Subaru calmly releases him and says, "Let's call it even for the coffee. Thanks for the treat." He walks away, leaving Isaac stunned and shouting in the hallway. Isaac is just annoyed that everyone is testing his patience. On the outside, Subaru decided to send a message to Sutin Entertainment saying, "Let's meet sometime." Cal got this message while she was bathing, and I am pretty sure she will be very excited. Later, we see Subaru entering the boss room of the Banished Lizardman's hideout. He's using this dungeon to test the limits of his new Thunder ability, combined with his Demon Sword and Wedge of Avarice. The experiment, he infuses thunder into his feet for speed, then into the sword for power. The result, the recoil is massive. Even with his skill at level 3, the resistance fails momentarily and his fatigue spikes. The outcome, he clears the dungeon, levels up, and gets stat boosts. Later, while walking in the woods, Subaru realizes he can handle even more power, but the cost of upgrading his skills is getting insane. The price to level up Wedge of Avarice again is 40,000 credits. He sighs, wishing someone would hook him up with a good job. Just then, Isaac appeared out of nowhere. Yes, and we all know he is actually here to beat our Subaru alone, so no one can find out. We cut to Hokuai, the analyst streamer meeting with the chief of Sutin Entertainment. The chief was a spectacle and confirmed if what Hokuai was saying in the stream was actually true about our MC. And after confirming, the chief cuts to the chase. He wants to scout our MC for his Sutin Entertainment. Hokuai is skeptical because Subaru's viewer count is tiny. But the chief is playing the long game. He wants Hokuai to boost Subaru's recognition through a collaboration. Hokuai agrees, recognizing the chief's sharp eye. Back in the woods, Isaac is furious. He sees Subaru without a scratch and assumes he ran away. He starts ranting about how everyone is impersonating Narukami Subaru and calls them all trash. Subaru finally asks the million-credit question, "Why are you so obsessed with antagonizing me?" Isaac admits it's because of the name Subaru. When Subaru points out that everyone likes that name, Isaac explodes, bringing up his father, Reinhardt, again. Subaru roasts him, "You're a grown man, yet you bring up your daddy in every situation." But Isaac drops a bomb. His father is Reinhardt, the one-strike sword saint. Then it clicks for Subaru. In his past life, he defeated Reinhardt in less than 30 seconds with just one strike. It turns out Isaac hates the name Subaru because Narukami Subaru humiliated his father, the one-strike sword saint, by beating him at his own game. Isaac is taking out his family's shame on Hosoi Subaru. Subaru realizes the irony but doesn't care. Isaac, on the other hand, tells him to stop rambling and just die already. This guy just starts spewing hatred. He claims he hates Narukami Subaru's guts and that just hearing the name makes him sick. According to Isaac, the original Subaru wasn't even a big deal, and everyone just treated him like hot shit because of the guildmaster. He even insults the rest of the Blue Eyes members, calling them fodder who got cocky and sank with their leader. Isaac then turns his rage on our Subaru, telling him his luck ran out the moment he was cursed with that name. He launches a massive explosion attack. The dust settles. Isaac actually thinks he killed him, muttering, "My bad, I messed up my strength control." He even casually mentions he might go kill the masked streamer next. He doesn't know that it's Subaru. But surprise, the smoke clears and Subaru is standing there without a scratch. He is not happy. Subaru took the fire attack head on, but he's more hurt by Isaac's words. He rushes toward him in an instant and punches him. He tells Isaac he really doesn't like hearing a brat trash talk his old friends. Then, Subaru drops the coldest lines of the chapter. He asks Isaac a pop quiz. "Who's standing in front of you right now? Hosoi Subaru, the wimp you bullied? The masked streamer, Narukami Subaru? Or perhaps, Narukami Subaru of Blue Eyes?" Isaac, however, was still recovering from that blow. Blood all over his mouth, but he still tries to laugh it off. He claims that if a loser like Hosoi learned the Thunder skill, it proves the skill isn't special and that Isaac is superior to the real Narukami. Then he tries to execute a sudden attack, and Subaru sighs, "Wrong answer," and he chopped off the arm that Isaac was using to attack. Isaac sees the shadow of the legendary Blue Eyes behind him. Then, it hit him. Isaac is terrified, stammering, "Why, you're Blue Eyes." But it's too late. Subaru declares playtime is over and decides to finish this as a thank you to the original body owner for everything he endured. He finished it with a fatal blow and left him out cold on the ground. Later, in a cafe, we see Subaru sitting there on his phone while everybody looks at him because he was wearing that mask. But then we see another familiar face. It was Ku, and yes, Subaru was here to meet her. She is trying so hard to be professional because the chief told her to win the client's trust and not look unreliable, but she can't help it. The moment Subaru speaks, she crumbles. She stutters, admits she's a massive fanatic of Subaru, and reveals she was actually his very first viewer. She starts listing all his achievements, the one-eyed bats, fighting Greg the giant fragment while sweating buckets from excitement. Subaru is actually impressed. He realizes she remembers details even he forgot. They get down to business. Hatsuka pulls out the document and explains that Suiten Entertainment wants to manage his brand commercials, clips, and the works. Subaru asks what he has to do. Hatsuka, just keep streaming like you always do, because he is also the only person acquiring the thunder after a long time. Subaru asks if all managers at Suiten are like her. She panics, thinking he means is everyone there this unreliable and unprofessional, and tries to deny it. She says that it's just her this way, while others are very professional. But on the other hand, Subaru meant that she has a very powerful aura. He thinks she is no ordinary player and wonders if the standards have risen so high that someone this skilled is just a manager. Subaru concludes that if managers are this strong, the enemies on higher floors must be monsters. He decides he needs to train even harder. Despite the misunderstanding, Subaru tells her, "I can clearly tell that you're someone I can trust." Hatsuka is shocked but thrilled. They agree to work together. So now we have a dead hero, a fangirl manager who is secretly a high-level player maybe. In the next scene, we see Subaru turning on the live stream. The stream goes live, and thanks to Hatsuka's marketing magic, the viewer count instantly hits 703 viewers. Of course, the chat is full of skeptics calling him a newbie and saying he has a concept because of the mask. Subaru ignores the noise and starts Stage 6, Legend Start. Inside the simulation, the NPC soldiers are having a hard time believing this skinny guy is their savior. One soldier whispers that he doubts someone who is not a knight, and another accuses Peleus of being deceived unless he saw the victory with his own eyes. Subaru realizes the mood is awkward. He pulls a pro streamer move by striking a pose that lets him adjust his microphone frequency so only the viewers can hear him. He calls the situation boring, which actually wins over some of the chat who like his arrogance. A man named Dale approaches Subaru. He reveals the terrifying truth about the previous stage. The boss Subaru defeated was nothing compared to what was coming. Dale explains the lore. The giants here are usually just traces or thoughts. However, a true giant, close to the legendary ones who fought gods, has appeared. This monster is so strong that the chat wonders if it is an 8th floor level threat. Dale gives Subaru a mission. He must go to Millennium Mountain. Legend says a fragment of thunder is hidden at the peak. If Subaru cannot find it within 3 days, Dale begs him to just flee and save his life. Subaru, being Subaru, just says, "Then I will just have to defeat it." Later, we see the being they were talking about, trampling on human-like insects, and this monster wants to send his son to the afterlife with human blood. From a high cliff, Subaru watches it. Meanwhile, the chat is confused and wonders if Subaru actually beat his son previously. Then, Subaru decided to ignore it because Peleus told him that it was going to take the giant 3 days to get here. So, if he cannot find the fragment of thunder by then on the mountain, he can just flee because no one will be left by then. On the way to the mountain, he actually slipped into his old catchphrase, believing there is no exam in this tower he cannot clear. But the chat didn't catch this catchphrase. They started giving him missions. If he's going to defeat them, they're going to give him tokens. A lot of them. After some time, he finally arrived, and I think now he has to climb. Peleus had actually told him previously that the fragment of thunder appears in legends. They don't know where it is or how to obtain it. However, what they do know is that the one who once controlled the thunder exterminated the giants. We cut to Suiten Entertainment, where Hatsuka is celebrating. She yells, "Yahoo!" because the contract is officially sealed. The chief praises her for finally becoming a decent person. Ouch. Then he explained that Hawkeye has something to discuss with her soon. As she cuts the call, she hops onto her bed, very happily because she is now in the ultimate otaku dream of managing her idol. She checks her phone and starts watching Subaru's livestream and hears the phrase, "There is no exam in this tower that I cannot clear." The chat tripped here, but she wasn't tripping. She freezes. That is a specific line Narukami Subaru used over 20 years ago. Her eyes go wide as she realizes this might not just be a copycat. Back in the game, Subaru reaches the target location. He starts punching some rocks. We don't know why, but the chat goes wild, asking if he went mad or is he just desperate. Subaru does not care. He charges in, fists glowing with electricity, shouting, "Which of us is sturdier? Let's settle this once and for all." With that, he was actually able to break the rock, saying, "Found it." As the dust settles, we see a huge door. Subaru entered a new area called the Path Where Lightning Walks. Visually, it looks like a boring, empty cave. The chat is confused, spamming nothing here and wondering if Subaru is just going to muscle his way through. But Subaru realizes the gimmick immediately. He says that the sensation doesn't come through on the stream. The air is filled with massive lightning power that isn't visible to the naked eye because it's just scattered electrical charges. He realizes this isn't a trial where you search with your eyes. You have to follow the pulling force of the lightning calling out to him. Subaru hits a dead end, a massive, ancient door blocking the path. The chat starts theory crafting. How do you open it without a key? Subaru's solution? Let's break it. He activates his lighting with Wedge of Greed to resist the backlash. He declares that if the lightning is calling him this intensely, he's going to answer the call with brute force. He attacks, making enough space to enter. The chat goes wild, calling him a specialist in breaking things. Meanwhile, back in the safe zone, the mood is grim. Another soldier had a panic attack. He screams at Peleus that they are all going to die because the true giant is coming. Dale explains that the giants they fought before were just traces. This new giant is the real deal, a monster close to the ancient giants who fought gods. But Peleus? He is fully on Team Subaru. He tells the guy to place his faith in the young hero who is fighting for them without asking for anything in return. Little does he know, Subaru is doing it for the stream donations. Then another soldier arrives, giving the bad news that the giant is already here. On the other side, our guy was continuing his search in the cave. He went deeper and deeper but didn't see anything. Midway, he suddenly stopped because he realized something was wrong. He picked up a rock and threw it deep into the cave. However, the rock was destroyed instantly by lightning. The reason this happened is that lightning invisible to the naked eye is scattered throughout the air. So the deeper he goes, the more lightning he has to endure, and the more lightning he will get, I think. It was his endurance test time. The chat started giving him credit, telling him to back off because he had already been hit by a little bit of lightning. If he went in deeper and couldn't endure it, he would die. On the other side, we again saw Shigure Asagiri. He was also watching Subaru's livestream. Just then, Reina suddenly entered, so he hid his kit, which made it more suspicious. When she inquired about it, he said that he wasn't doing anything and started making excuses. She knew that he was hiding something, so she decided to sit next to him, explaining that she was not watching Subaru's livestream because she's bored now. But then, suddenly, Subaru started talking from the livestream. Shigure Asagiri then started screaming while talking to her just so she wouldn't be able to hear that he was watching Subaru's livestream. His behavior actually annoyed her, so she decided to leave. As she left, he again pulled out his kit and started watching the livestream. As he watched the stream, he began realizing that this guy is nothing like the original Subaru when it comes to desperately farming credit. Then suddenly, a hand poked his shoulder from behind, and it was Rina. And according to her, he is still 100 years too early to fool her. Back to Subaru. He was continuing his walk, but as he went deeper, it was getting harder to walk. He started getting lightning shocks throughout his body. Just then, a window started showing up with his progress. It was 2.3%, and as he went deeper, it started increasing. He knew that reaching the goal was given, but he wanted to do more. He explained he wouldn't be able to read chats because he had to focus now. On the other side, Hokuai was also watching the stream because the chief gave him a task. They were collaborating soon, and the chief thought this could give both of them an opportunity to become rising stars together. The chief himself had also tried to climb the tower, but he wasn't confident enough, so he gave up. Hokuai also dreams of becoming a star. However, his dream was interrupted by the scream of Subaru in the livestream. He was still pushing through the lightning, not running, just walking. The stronger the lightning, the deeper it penetrates the body. He thought this should be enough. The progression was at 20%. His body started a minor meridian activation in progress, and the lightning started settling in his body. He explains that the Renandu channels are the body's central pathways. Minor meridians refer to the small vessels connecting the whole body. The minor meridians opening means the internal energy has reached every corner of the body. The main thing is Husui Subaru didn't undergo the purification of the minor meridians, which means in another world he is taking a shortcut. Normally, anyone has to do this with their own mana, but right now he is relying on existential lightning, which makes it easier but brings unimaginable pain. However, he still kept walking without stopping. Hatsuka was also wondering why he was pushing himself this far. Back to Subaru. The process was at 50%. He was getting lightning in his body, but he was also collapsing. Remembering his colleagues, he always used to tell them that there's no trial he can't clear. In the end, he's the only one who wins, but this time he might lose because of his overconfidence. And after walking for some time, he finally collapsed on the ground. Chapter 18. Suddenly, he found himself in a magnificent grassy field. In the distance, he saw his teammates under a tree. He was shocked and thought that he was just dreaming, and that everything where his teammate died was just a dream. He rushed toward them, explaining how he had a nightmare, but when his friends turned around, they saw him. He saw them all injured, and they started blaming him for their mistake and for how he didn't protect them and suddenly disappeared in a fire. Coming back to reality, he again stood up, finding out that was just an illusion, and the progress was almost 100%. The hallucination actually happens during fine vein opening, so yeah, he almost fell into that. On the other side, giants had already arrived in the village, and everyone was panicking, even the soldiers. However, Peleus came forward, motivating all of them. Dale also believed they should be the ones saving the citizens instead of being scared like cowards because they were knights. With resolve, everyone began attacking the giants. On the other hand, Subaru was at 99%. He was finally arriving at the end of the cave and saw a lightning spear in front of him. He had no idea what it was. Even his fatigue rose to 97%. But he wasn't about to give up because he was just one step away. Coming back, the soldiers started fighting the giants, and Peleus was able to kill one. Everyone was excited that they were able to kill a giant. However, another one appeared while they were talking. It stomped on one of the soldiers beside Peleus. And this was the actual true boss. On the other side, Subaru was able to grab the electrical spear item, and his progress was almost 100%. But as the progress hit 100%, he collapsed with a high shock because he had completed the fine vein cleansing, which was too much for his body. After he did that, a system message window showed that he had cleared up stage 6. Back at the entertainment agency, the chief was also watching the stream and believed that Subaru was just being reckless. Just then, he received a call from Hokuai. He picked it up while mumbling Subaru was not cut out for streaming. However, Hokuai, on the other end, believed that Subaru was going to be a star, both as a player and as a streamer, and this guy was going to be close to being the real Subaru. Little did they know. Back to our guy. He was already awake and his fatigue was at 81. He also cleared the missions the chat gave him and got 20,000 credits at once. And now, what was left? The spear was a lightning spear, an ancient spear carved from pure lightning. It could be used for a single throw, which could unleash a terrifying, decisive blow. He was excited because this stuff couldn't be achieved before the flow rate. He put everything in his inventory because now he had to go back to the village to take down the giants. On the other hand, the giants were being reckless. The boss had finally appeared, scaring the shit out of everyone. One soldier was even so terrified that he started begging, explaining to the giant that he was a god, so he should have mercy on him. Dale came to get the soldier, however the soldier wasn't even moving. He was just calling the giant his god, which even more pissed off the giant because they had a history of fighting the gods. In the end, the soldier and Dale didn't move, and the giant killed them. Now, the only one who was left was Peleus. And by the way, if you didn't already know, the giant was here because Subaru had killed his son, and of course he wasn't alone. He had brought his boys too. When the giant asked Peleus just pointed behind him, saying that the one who killed his son was behind him, but yes, there was no one, it was just a tactic. However, when the giant moved back to Peleus to kill him, he couldn't because he got distracted by the lightning that appeared out of nowhere on top of the mountain. And yes, Subaru was the one who was doing it. He had just activated stage 7, and now he needed to kill the giant boss without giving it any thought. He started summoning the lightning spear that he had just gotten. However, it was going to take some time, and his fatigue was also stacking up. His resistance skill also failed because the compatibility was low. Now, all he had to do was just hold on. Let the lightning spear activate fully. It was at 28%. On the other hand, the giant started running towards Subaru because as soon as he saw the lightning, he knew that Subaru was the one who had killed his son. As the activation rate climbs toward 95%, Subaru focuses on the mental discipline required for the attack. He reminds himself of the core principles of throwing a spear. One must never take one's eyes off the target, no matter what happens. His friend told him this back then. He realized that he didn't need to predict any of the enemy's movements, he just needed to keep his focus on the enemy and fire it like a projectile. He realizes that he needs to clear his mind of unnecessary thoughts like predicting the enemy's movement or worrying about the perfect arc of the weapon. The giant, on the other hand, was climbing up the mountain really fast. He was under a lot of pressure, with everyone telling him to fire the spear, however, he didn't. The giant finally jumped towards Subaru. Just then, the lightning spear finally reached a 100% activation rate. Subaru knows he only has one shot at this while the giant is in the air, so he resolved to finish the battle in a single blow. He releases the attack, and it is a massive success. The weapon hits the target, and the giant was obliterated by the spear like paper is by fire. Immediately after the victory, the system window appears to show his rewards. Subaru clears stage 7 of the Thunder Trial and receives several attribute points for strength, agility, vitality, focus, and magic. He also earns 5,000 achievement points and a rare item called the Heart of Thunder. However, the celebration is short-lived. A strange and creepy event occurs right after the battle. Subaru finds himself in an unfamiliar place, stared at by a lot of giants, unable to move his body or even speak. Suddenly, his vision is filled with repeated system messages stating that an unknown entity is watching him. Suddenly, he comes back and sees the weather is clearing. A new main scenario titled Thunder is announced to begin. Subaru, however, didn't move for some time because he actually thought it was a cut scene for this level. Subaru then decides to collect his credits, the ones he got from the chats, and it totaled 40,000. His viewers are chatting excitedly about how crazy and strong he is, though some joke about how he constantly blacks out during his exams. Then he decides to end the stream because he is feeling tired. After some time, we again see him at a cafe with his manager. She is incredibly excited because Subaru's peak viewer count passed 3,000 people, which is an amazing achievement for a rookie streamer. Subaru admits he was too focused on the fight to notice the numbers. She praises Subaru's natural timing, noting that ending the stream while viewers were still curious about his rewards was a perfect cliffhanger. Subaru explains that he did not plan it, but he intends to check his rewards during the next stream so that his reactions will be genuine for his fans. To reward his hard work, she tells Subaru that she has a special present for him that he will not be able to refuse. Yeah, a very, very special present. But first, she tells him to just search for the stream of someone named Hawkeye. By the way, Hawkeye is Hokuai. This guy is a big deal, pulling in over 9,120 viewers at once. He's doing a deep dive analysis of Subaru's recent trial and is absolutely blown away. Hawkeye explains to his massive audience that Subaru wasn't just taking a test, he was actually imposing an extra trial of pain on himself while finishing the exam. He ends his review with a huge compliment, telling everyone that this new guy basically is the legendary Narukami Subaru himself. Meanwhile, Subaru is sitting down with his manager. She tentatively asks him a pretty personal question: why do you stream? Subaru, still wearing his mask, doesn't hesitate for a second. He bluntly tells her, it is for the money. The manager is a bit taken aback by how honest he is. wondering if there is a deeper, more noble reason. But Subaru doubles down, saying there is no other reason and that money is simply important. It is a very grounded, almost cold moment that shows he is not doing this for fame or glory. He has practical needs to meet. Shortly after that, slightly awkward conversation, the manager reveals the special present she mentioned earlier. It turns out that Hawkeye is a trusted streamer with their agency. Because Hawkeye used Subaru's footage for his analysis, they have reached a deal. Subaru gets a 50-50 split of all the revenue generated from that content. Subaru is shocked to find out this includes everything: advertisements, donations, and even the video archives. It is an incredible financial boost for him, and he admits it is a great, unexpected bonus. To keep the momentum going, his manager suggests a collaboration stream with Hawkeye, which Subaru agrees to do in 2 days. As Subaru leaves the meeting and comes back to his room, we get a look at his internal thoughts. He realizes that as he builds more relationships, it becomes harder to know how much of his true identity he should hide. Suddenly, he opens the system and increases his skill, Wedge of Greed, to level 4. However, the reality of his money-grubbing nature becomes clear when he sees the cost for the next rank, a staggering 80,000 credits. Looking at his current balance, he only has 120 credits left. He is basically broke again, making that upcoming collaboration even more vital for his survival. He pulls out the flower again that he kept in his inventory and swears that he's going to find his teammate no matter what. On the other side, we see the manager, Ku Hatsuka, and right now, she is getting butterflies in her stomach. She just thinks that he was very cool. She thought that he has some hidden, very important motive. That's why he's live streaming, not because of money. She punches the pillow from excitement and expresses her desire, to meet him in real life too, without the mask, of course. The scene shifts to a dark, gothic-looking location called Noxvera, Floor 7. We are introduced to a serious-looking man named Kurokawa Amon from the Blue Zone. He is watching Hawkeye's stream, and he is clearly disgusted. He hates how streamers abandon their pride just to create viral content. Amon has a personal connection to the skills Subaru is using. He mentions the guild Blue Eyes, where every member was considered the strongest. He remembers a spearmaster named Sako Shohei and notes that thunder was the symbol of their group. Amon is angry that a flashy punk like Subaru is using their techniques so casually. But Kurokawa Amon wasn't the one watching the live stream. It was this guy who played it. Why? Because Guildmaster Kyojo ordered him to. Why? Because Kyojo has ordered Amon to bring Subaru in. Since they know Subaru is obsessed with money, the Guildmaster tells Amon to use their ample funds to bring him in no matter what. Subaru has no idea he has just been targeted by a very powerful and wealthy guild, and look at the money. The next scene opens in the aftermath of the intense battle. While the village works quickly to round up the injured and distribute healing potions, Subaru, referred to by Peleus as the benefactor, finally wakes up and is here. It turns out he had been unconscious since collapsing outside the village the day before, much to the worry of the villagers. But they have no idea that he paused the quest and went to talk to the manager, then came back. Though he still feels quite dizzy, he manages to pull himself together to check the loot he earned from the trial. He actually had something that he wanted to ask from Peleus, so he called him out later at the inn. Back in his room, he decided to check his reward first. Subaru reveals his primary reward, the Thunder Heart. This is a bound, unique growth item with no level requirement, making it incredibly rare and powerful. Its stats are impressive, providing 30% thunder resistance, 20% thunder attack, strong resistance to electrocution. The livestream viewers are absolutely hyped, calling the stats crazy good for a thunder-based user. While Subaru inspects the item, someone brings him a gift of fruit as a thank you. It's our good boy Peleus. Later, Subaru wanted to learn from Peleus the deep lore behind the item he just found, but Peleus has no idea. What he does know, however, is that the Thunder Heart dropped from the giant's body and is tied to 2 ancient legends. The first legend says the thunder was the weapon used to kill the giant. The second, more mysterious legend claims that gods and giants once went to war for control over thunder. The most interesting part of this world building is the reveal that thunder was created on purpose so that normal humans would have a way to fight and win against beings that were otherwise way too strong for them. As Subaru processes this information, the system rewards him for clearing the thunder trial and viewing the forgotten human tales. Because he has accumulated 17,050 achievement points, his thunder skill levels up twice in a row, reaching level 3. Immediately after, the system teleports him to the next stage, Layer 3, Ortonol. Upon arriving at Layer 3, everybody started whispering as they saw him because he was wearing Subaru's mask. This area hits him with a flashback. He remembers meeting a woman named Kyuka Reina who had lost her party and seemed unapproachable back then. Even though he remembers helping her find her way and even traveling together, he thinks back on the memory with a bit of regret, wishing he had just shown her the way and left, because that is when he fell in love. This moment of reflection makes him wonder if the people he knew back then are even still alive. Back in the present, a viewer donates 1,000 credits and asks Subaru how he is feeling. Subaru's mood is visibly somber after the flashback, and he gives a cryptic answer, "I feel like I've lost something important." The viewers are left confused or emotional, wondering if he is sad about leaving the NPC Peleus behind or if it is something deeper. Before the chat can dig too deep, Subaru announces that his next stream will be the highly anticipated collaboration with Hawkeye and ends the broadcast for the day. In the next scene, we see Subaru waiting for his manager, Hatsuka. Instead of her, John Tail, the chief from Suit and Entertainment, shows up to greet him. John apologizes for the wait, explaining that moving between floors takes a long time. Then, John reveals why he came personally. He tells Subaru that Hatsuka has only ever praised only 2 players highly. The first time was for the legendary Narukami Subaru of Blue Eyes. John finds it amusing and ironic that the second person she praised is a rookie using the exact same name. After the pleasantries, John asks a pointed question. Does he have any interest in a guild called Blue Eyes? When he sees that Subaru isn't entirely uninterested, he reveals his main reason for visiting. He shows Subaru an image of a prize for an upcoming tournament being held on floor 3 in 5 days. The item is a pair of winged shoes called Teleria. Immediately, Subaru's internal demeanor changes completely. He recognizes the item instantly. These shoes belong to his former comrade, Soya. He realizes that this is not just a tournament prize, it is a trap set by the Blue Zone Guild. Meanwhile, the scene briefly shifts to show Kyuko Riina from the Blue Eyes, and she's Subaru's love interest. After some moments, she meets up with Shigure Asagiri, who has frozen some enemies who came to kill them. He was just deliberating if he should kill them or not. To be honest, he was thinking about pulling some info out of them, but Kyuko Riina killed them without hesitation. Then Asagiri pulled out his kit and showed her something which pissed her off. It was the same shoes of Soya, their former comrade. They knew this isn't just a reward for the tournament, it's bait for them. But still, they decided to steal it after the winner is decided, and Riina is the one who's going to do it because she's good at being stealthy. They openly admit that the item is bait designed to lure out any survivors of the original Blue Eyes Guild. Back to Subaru, John, who is unaware of the dark history, pitches a streaming idea to Subaru. He suggests that since Subaru is using the Narukami name, a storyline about him pursuing the lost relics of the Blue Eyes Guild would make for compelling content. Internally, Subaru is furious. He thinks, how dare you use Soya's relic as a promotional gimmick? However, he knows he needs to get the item back. So, he puts on a fake smile and enthusiastically agrees to the plan, telling John he is looking forward to it. Then Subaru just leaves. His thoughts turn dark and possessive as he stares at the image of the shoes, swearing that he won't let anyone else have them. Later, in Subaru's private room, he was wondering about the tournament, but then he heard a knock on his door, so he quickly wore his mask and opened the door. Outside, his manager, Hatsuka, was genuinely surprised to see him covering his face even when he was alone in his own room. After awkwardly asking permission to enter, she stepped inside and immediately found everything in the room minimal. On the other side, Subaru noted that the depth of her magic power was unfathomable, and realized she was definitely not just some ordinary person. Once they got down to business, Hatsuka explained the format for the upcoming tournament. It would be a scramble format, which is a simple solo competition where everyone fights for a single grand prize. The details were specific. The venue is a virtual trial stage. The requirement is that they must be a floor 3 player. The entry fee is 1,000 credits, and there is no limit on the number of participants. In a moment of unintentional irony, Hatsuka sent him reference materials to study for the match. Every single video in the kit was a highlight reel of the original Narukami Subaru, meaning Subaru now had to study his own past self to prepare. Then, the conversation took a serious turn. Hatsuka revealed that they had received a message from Blue Zone, specifically from Kyojo Itsuki. Since they couldn't contact Subaru directly, they sent an email to his agency asking for a meeting, likely to negotiate recruiting him with high compensation. Without hesitating for even a second, Subaru told her to ignore it. He stated clearly that he had no intention of joining Blue Zone or any other guild. Hatsuka was visibly relieved, almost too relieved. She celebrated with such intensity, then she happily left. Subaru found it suspicious, wondering why a regular employee would be so personally invested in this. Later, the scene shifted to the preparation for the big collaboration stream with Hawkeye. Hawkeye proposed a bold concept, an original versus new Narukami Subaru talent comparison test. The idea was to have the new Subaru go head-to-head with the record set by the legendary one. Hawkeye warned that losing would be a huge blow to his reputation. Then finally, Subaru arrived with his manager. When they finally met in person at a massive studio rented for the occasion, they wasted no time starting the stream. The hype was real, over 12,000 viewers tuned in right from the start. As the stream heated up, the chat immediately started asking about Subaru's face. When asked if he was hiding a shady past or if he was ugly, Subaru joked that he was actually handsome. The chat roasted him for his confidence, but he took it in stride, declaring he wouldn't lose to anyone. In a moment of self-deprecating humor, he also admitted to the thousands of viewers that he has no girlfriend and currently has no friends either. Hatsuka was very happy to find this out. I wonder why. Finally, they got to the main event. The test was designed to measure control. Hawkeye brought up the leaderboard to show the top rankers they needed to beat. First place, Narukami Subaru, the original with 43 points. Second place, Hiles with 36 points. Third place, Kyojo Itsuki with 33 points. The gap between first and second place was huge. However, the current Subaru looked at the record he set in his past life and calmly stated that if he wasn't confident he could beat it, he wouldn't have accepted the offer in the first place. The chat is going wild, laughing at the new Subaru's palpable confidence. Then, the viewers start issuing challenges. A user named Mucho Spicy offers a mission. If Subaru kills 43 or more enemies in one run, he gets 10,000 credits. But if he fails, he has to show his face on cam. Subaru initially tries to back out, thinking it is way too early to risk taking off his mask. However, the chat won't let him off that easily. Multiple users start piling on donations, taunting him to accept. Swayed by the money, Subaru agrees to the deal. He promises to show his face if he fails. Before they start, a viewer points out that only Subaru is taking the risk while Hawkeye gets half the money, which seems unfair. Hawkeye agrees and generously decides that for this specific mission, all credits will go to Narukami. With the term set, Subaru declares, "It's showtime." The timer starts at 3 minutes, and Subaru wastes no time activating his skill, Thunder. He instantly obliterates the first enemy with a single hit, shocking the chat. Viewers can't believe he isn't even using his demon blade and is just relying on magic. As the clock ticks down to 2 minutes 39 seconds, Subaru is moving so fast that the chat calculates he is on a 70-kill pace. He leaps into the air, engaging in aerial combat that viewers recognize as an iconic scene recreated from the original Subaru's playstyle. By the time the clock hits 1 minute 22 seconds, he has 26 kills. The chat starts debating whether he will just take second place or actually beat the record. The tension ramps up as the timer drops, 13 seconds left, and he has 41 kills. At the very last second, he secures the final kills, ending the trial with exactly 43 kills. The result screen flashes up, and it is a historic moment. The record is updated to show a tie for first place, Narukami Subaru and another Narukami Subaru in first two. The live viewer count spikes to over 38,000 as the chat explodes with excitement, realizing he didn't just beat second place, he tied with the legend himself. Even Hawkeye is stunned by how close the match was. The viewers admit they thought he was just a random mob character at first, but now they are genuinely impressed. Amidst the celebration, donations start pouring in, and Hawkeye jokingly complains about the usernames. Suddenly, a massive donation of 10,000 credits appears from a user named Reinhardt. The chat freezes. They frantically debate if it is a fake, but someone checks the profile and confirms it is the real deal, the famous 1/swordsman. Subaru thanks Reinhardt for the huge donation, acknowledging that a high ranker is watching. Reinhardt follows up with another 1,000 credits and a message. Narukami Subaru's run inspired me. The viewer count skyrockets to 41,000. Then, Reinhardt drops a bombshell offer in the chat. He messaged that he wanted to collaborate with Subaru. The chat goes absolutely berserk at the offer. The chief and the manager were signaling him to accept it, but Subaru did something unthinkable. He casually declines, saying, "I've got to focus on the trials for now, so I'll have to decline." Hawkeye panics and ends the stream, stuttering and asking why he would turn down such a massive career-boosting opportunity. Subaru acts cool and aloof, asking if it is really that big of a deal. He confidently states, "If being a ranker matters so much, I'll just become one myself." Hawkeye, with a sharp observation, asks if Subaru was hurt because he felt different while fighting, noting that he didn't seem to be in top condition. Internally, Subaru realizes he can't fool Hawkeye's instincts. He reveals to us that the tie was intentional. If he won, the hype would die down because people would think the original wasn't that great. If he lost, people would just dismiss him as a fake. By ending in a draw, he puts both characters on equal grounds, which is the optimal outcome for his growth and narrative. When Hawkeye asks if he could have overtaken the record if he really wanted to, Subaru just says, "Who knows? We can't change the result now." He leaves it up to interpretation, securing his mysterious reputation perfectly. Reinhardt, the guildmaster of the Golden Lion Guild, rank 121, is absolutely fuming. He calls Subaru an insolent brat because Subaru turned down his collaboration offer. Reinhardt reveals his true intentions to his subordinate. He never planned to have a friendly collaboration. Instead, he wanted to crush Subaru in front of everyone to shut down the annoying rumors about him. He is furious that a rookie nobody dared to scratch his pride by rejecting him first. Then, Reinhardt asks about the search for his son named Isaac. His man nervously reports that they are searching hard, but Isaac has a habit of disappearing. Reinhardt loses his temper and terrifies the man into resuming the search immediately. The scene shifts to Hatsuka receiving a call from her boss. Hatsuka saved in his phone as nagging boss. He screams at her for having a dead voice and scolds her because Subaru rejected the Reinhardt collaboration, which would have been a massive opportunity. However, she privately admits that Subaru's focus on climbing the tower rather than chasing fame is actually the right mindset for a player. Later, Hatsuka visits Subaru's room. She asks if he always wears the mask, and he admits he feels more at ease with it. When Subaru asks why everyone is so obsessed with the original Narukami Subaru, Hatsuka gets emotional. She explains that when she first arrived, the tower was a place of despair with no stability. The original Subaru was the first person to prove the tower could be conquered, giving everyone hope that this world could belong to them. Then she leaves. She was actually here to persuade him but changed her mind. Then later, Subaru starts his stream and immediately receives donations, including one from Golden Lion and another from a user named Mondo from the Yggdrasil Guild, who asks to speak with him. Ignoring the distractions, Subaru begins the Floor 3 trial. The system asks him to choose a faction, Ottoman Kingdom or Conrad Kingdom. The chat insists that Ottoman is the obvious choice, but Subaru deliberately picks the Conrad Kingdom. The system notes that only 3% of players choose this faction, implying it is the much harder or less popular path. The faction changes pretty much everything on this floor, as both kingdoms despise each other, so quests can change depending on which one someone joins. In the Conrad Kingdom, Subaru enters the mercenary rest area. Almost immediately, a large mercenary named Vulture bumps into him on purpose but is shocked by his strength. Vulture, a B-rank mercenary, tries to bully Subaru, mocking him as an E-rank newbie. Instead of backing down, Subaru fights back. He activates his Thunder skill, channeling electricity around his leg. With a single powerful kick, he sends the massive Vulture flying backward, shocking the onlookers. Vulture is humiliated, and his gang threatens to rip Subaru's mask off along with his skin. However, after some time, Subaru beats them all. Then, an older man approaches Subaru. He praises Subaru's skill and introduces himself as Raymond, a rank examiner. It seems Subaru has instantly caught the attention of someone important in this new faction. Raymond praises Subaru's skills. He asks Subaru how many jobs he has completed so far, leading to an explanation of the Floor 3 trial requirements. The goal is to earn 10,000 achievement points by taking on various mercenary requests. However, there is a massive problem. Since Subaru is currently an E-rank mercenary, the rewards he can get are tiny, only about 50 points at best. Raymond explains that players usually get stuck here for over a year because the grind is so slow. Internally, Subaru realizes he cannot waste a single second and needs a shortcut. Raymond, noticing Subaru is an otherworlder, the tower resident's slang for players, hints that there might be a way, though he usually doesn't help outsiders who will just leave eventually. Then, Subaru drops the bombshell. He tells Raymond he will make his dreams come true by revealing that he can claim the Thunderclap Cavern for Conrad, shocking Raymond. Raymond warns him that the request is usually reserved for A-rank mercenaries because of the dungeon's significance. The lore is here. The kingdoms of Conrad and Osman have been at war for decades. An impassable mountain range separates them. Thunderclap Cavern cuts straight through these mountains. Conquering it would give either side a massive military advantage. It is an impregnable dungeon that no one in history has ever conquered. Subaru boldly asks Raymond to grant him A-rank credentials so he can take the job, promising not to misuse them. Raymond starts thinking, and on the other side, Subaru says to his chat that things will get messy if he refuses. But in the end, Raymond agrees to write a letter of recommendation so Subaru can join the raid party, noting that they need personnel anyway. He just saved his life right there. Raymond informs Subaru that the raid departs in 5 days. Subaru realizes this timing is suspicious. It aligns exactly with when the 4-3 tournament ends. He wonders if the Blue Zone Guild calculated this schedule on purpose. Raymond then shares a personal story. In his younger days, he challenged Thunderclap Cavern himself and lost half his comrades. He warns Subaru of the danger, but Subaru simply says, "That won't happen." When Raymond hands over the letter, Subaru reveals his true plan. He is going solo. Raymond is flabbergasted, shouting that the dungeon requires a 20-person raid. Subaru calmly replies that he doesn't have any companions right now, so he has no choice. Rina was also watching the stream from the other side and believed he's just like Subaru, except for the streaming part. Subaru then announces to his stream that he is taking a break from streaming for a while to focus on the trials. The viewers are disappointed, flooding the chat. Rihanna, surprisingly, is very excited to talk to him in the tournament. After ending the stream, the manager explains his reasoning to Subaru. If he did regular requests, it would dilute his brand, and Subaru explains that he plans to grind until the tournament to level up and test the capabilities of his new item, the Heart of Thunder, but inside he is determined not to let anyone else have his friend Soya's relic. The scene shifts to Genzaki Naoto from the Blue Zone Guild. He is furious that he was made to come to them, complaining that usually people come running when Blue Zone calls. Subaru's representative, the chief, meets him at a restaurant. Genzaki demands to see Subaru, but the chief tells him Subaru isn't there and is out on private business. The chief firmly states they already conveyed Subaru's wishes to decline the meeting. Genzaki loses his temper. He accuses the agency of hoarding their golden goose and argues that joining a major guild would be way better for Subaru than just streaming. The manager calmly counters that top streamers earn just as much as rankers these days and points out Genzaki's prejudice against the profession. The argument escalates. The chief states that their company prioritizes the streamer's own opinion above all else. Genzaki calls him naive and threatens that Blue Zone won't let this slide. Suddenly, the chief's demeanor changes. He tells Genzaki that some people don't respond to threats and tells him to get lost. A massive burst of overwhelming magic erupts from the chief, terrifying Genzaki. Genzaki stumbles back, wondering if he imagined the power, and leaves while swearing that they will regret this day. The manager simply smiles and says, "Ooh, scary, scary."